Welcome in to this Wednesday edition. It's June 23rd of Gridiron Grubb. Before we get started in this one, remember to hit the subscribe button on your Apple Podcast or your YouTube to get the latest episodes. You can also visit me at gridirongrub.com or follow me on Twitter at gridirongrub. So, as we're moving into this Wednesday edition, I wanted to get into a little bit of a dynasty outlook here of the top kind of three wide receivers behind Jamar Chase for rookies. And in that category, obviously, we have Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, and Rashad Bateman. Those would be my top three after that top tier of Chase, obviously. So, in a dynasty league, obviously we're looking for longevity. And I think with all three of these guys, with Bateman, Smith, and Waddle, I think we have three guys that are going to have a pretty good, long career at this. I think you have to nitpick a little bit of things here. And so I'm going to start with Devontae Smith. Obviously, he's going with Hurts. And yes, they've been a part of each other's teams in Alabama before Hurts transferred, obviously, to Oklahoma. However, I don't know how their connection is. I know it really seemed like coming into the draft, really, that Devontae wanted nothing to do with the Dolphins. He didn't want to be a Dolphin. He said everything he could be not to be a Dolphin. And I don't really know why. I'm not really sure what was on his boat with that. But whatever. To each his own. So, anyway, where I'm going with this is that I think with him and Hurts, could it become special? It could. Hurts, getting out of the pocket, on the move, making some plays. Last year we saw him do that. The question for me is, can Hurts really become the guy who is not the run around, can he be consistent from the pocket? In the NFL, he's going to have to do it. And we haven't really seen that yet. Yeah, he made some plays last year and he made some throws, but really, in the end, it came down to his scrambling ability, and usually it does with these young quarterbacks who are, just in the league and trying to push it. Reading defenses it becomes difficult, especially after teams have some film and scout on these guys. So I think that with Devontae, what scares me, and I know everybody's been saying this and they talk about it, but he wasn't, it's his size. And not his size that height, obviously is not a problem. And everybody's like, his weight didn't matter in college. Well, college is college. And at Alabama, let's be honest. Yes, the SEC is tough, but the tough team is Alabama. There's very few cornerbacks, let's just say, in this league, and safeties that he's facing week in and week out that are going to be top level guys on the next level. Several come from Alabama. He's not having to face those guys on the field. You get a few from Auburn, a few from Georgia. You get these guys kind of intermixed in there. Texas A&M. But when you're only facing, college level secondaries, they're pretty easy to beat, especially at Alabama with that offense, that they've been running down there. So, not a knock on him. Obviously, he was special and he did things in college that were amazing, especially this last year as a senior. I find that what worries me is that frailty. Is he frail? He might be. We don't know. We haven't seen him taking massive hits. And in the NFL, it's going to come. The guys are going to be pretty quick, and it's not this thing where you get to run around all the safeties and corners anymore. And There's always linebackers waiting over the middle. I mean, they're going to be there. And yeah, the league has, come down on these guys who are, are they're not letting them hit, like they used to, and put the hurt on these guys over the middle as much, but it's still going to happen. And what worries me about Devontae is, and I don't know, I mean, some of you might remember, but Pat White, who played quarterback and he played for the Dolphins when that was about the end of his career. And he played some quarterback and he took a couple hits, and I can remember the hit he took going out of bounds on the sideline, and that was it. Pat White didn't want to play NFL football no more. And, yes, Devontae is, I think he's got a tougher grind than that. But it does worry me as far as down the road with Dynasty. I mean, and is this guy able to put on 10 or 15 pounds on that body? I'm sure he can in the NFL. And if he does that, he's going to be just fine. If he doesn't, that worries me. That's a pretty frail body. I don't know if you guys have seen somebody at 6'1", 170 pounds is pretty damn light. That's getting down there. So that's skinny body. And now I know he's done it. His talent is great and everything is good. Again, it's dynasty football that we're talking about here as far as fantasy. And the guy's got it. He's got the talent. He's got the skills. But if he doesn't put on the weight, can that body hold up? And that's just a truth of fact. It's not a knock on him, and I know everybody's been talking about it, but it's a reason that, as winning the Heisman Trophy in a special year that he had last year, that he fell to 12th and in the draft. And he could have easily been, he really could have gone ahead of Chase, that's for sure. But teams look at this and they evaluate that and they say, his weight is low, and that's where they went with it. So, not going to hate on him as far as talent, not going to hate on him because he has the size. It just does worry me as far as dynasty. So, that's where, I try to factor these things in as I'm drafting a guy that's going to be a part of my team. And if you've heard me talk before, or you've read anything that I've written, it's about return on investment. I think with him, you actually get a really good return on investment where you draft him in a dynasty league, even a super flex league, where he goes off the board. I think you get a pretty good ROI, especially in a super flex league where there's going to be 2 or 3 more quarterbacks probably go off the board than a regular dynasty league. So he is a guy that I like where you can draft him. Like I say, though, it does worry me. I think he's going to be special in the league, but I would love that guy to put on, 10 or 15 pounds and keep those quick feet. So with Devontae, I think he's going to be good. Hurts, again, worries me a little bit. Not sure where he's going as far as what he brings to the table for Philadelphia. We'll find out this year, when he gets a full season under his belt. So next on that list, I've got, Jalen Waddle and Rashad Bateman. And I really think Bateman, he's the guy this year. And so first I'm going to go ahead. I'll just discuss Waddle. I think he's going to be a big-time playmaker. Go watch the tape with Tua. You can go back. You can look. You can see what those guys did as a combination at Alabama. It was really good. And I think Tua this year, he got a little big head early in the season last year. Things came pretty easy at first when he popped him in the games, and Dolphins were winning, and he was making some throws, and they didn't put too much on him. But as the offense expanded, people got tape on him. He didn't prepare himself enough, I don't think, and I think he's learned that from this last season, that he's got to be a little bit more keen to what's going on around him. These defenses, this is the best of the best. He got to play again. When you're in the SEC, when you're at Alabama, you play for the best of the best. So you're not having to prepare for Alabama every week. Well, when you get in the NFL, you got to think that you're a NCAA, college that's, Division I, that's having to prepare for Alabama every week. I mean, that's just how it is in the NFL. You have to prepare for the best of the best every week. I don't care if a team is 1-12 or 0-13 or whatever. Man, they're pros. I mean, look at the Jets last year. They came on strong at the end of the year. They gave some people some challenges. They didn't just pack up and go home. So it's not going to happen. So you got to be prepared every dang week. And if you're not, teams are going to get you. I mean, you can actually look, even if you want to go back to rookie games against each other, where you had Herbert playing for San Diego against the Dolphins. Herbert was having a spectacular season. I think he got a little. I don't think his head got to him. I don't think he was big-headed, but I think he got a little lackadaisical. Maybe the week they played the Dolphins, not sure, but it was terrible. He looked terrible. The Dolphins had something figured out on Herbert, and maybe it's because they'd been scouting him and Tua so much, but they didn't allow much from him. So back to Tua with Waddle. I think this year Tua, he's obviously going to reach for a new level. He had the knock on him was, I think the media and everybody blown it out of proportion. The dude, there's so much high expectations on the guy. He's definitely a transcendent talent. He has that in him, and which is, it's funny. We in the whole world of football went from tank for Tua to all of a sudden Tua's the worst thing that ever happened. I mean, give me a break. It's a little blown out of proportion there. Did he have some mistakes last year as the year went on and people had tapes on him? Absolutely. But he didn't have anything special like Jalen Waddle running down the field. And I tell you what, with Will Fuller, Jalen Waddle, I mean, these guys, switching them, motioning them, the speed that's going to be there, so Tua's going to look good. I think it's going to really start to mesh with Waddle. He's going to have a good year. That's, I guess, the worry when you go into this, kind of back to the Devontae Smith argument is, does Tua come around? And, all talk from the offseason is Tua's putting in a lot of work. And that's what you want to see from these guys that didn't have spectacular years. You want to see this. You want to see them putting in the work and the effort in the offseason. And he's been working with all the receivers. They've been, it's what you want from these guys. If they're going to be the pros and they're going to be top level and top notch, he's got the talent. He's got the arm talent and the accuracy that the likes of nobody's had in a long, long time. So if he can put it together with his mind, it's going to be special. And Waddle's going to be a part of that. And I especially like in Dynasty again. Return on investment. Where do you get to draft Jalen Waddle? Later in the first round, early, first couple picks of the second round, especially in a super flex again, with some extra quarterbacks going ahead up there in the top of the draft. Regular Dynasty, you're looking anywhere from probably 8 to 12, him falling in there. So, again, return on investment, going to be, a chance to have a guy who balls out over the next couple years and gives you that return on investment. Either he's a future big name receiver on your team, or you get to trade him for, a couple firsts, in the next season, or a first and another big name player, and you're getting to build your dynasty team there. Now, after Waddle, like I say, he's going to do good. It's up to Tua and all those things. So the next thing I would say is, the Rashad Bateman, right? Here we go again, right? This is another quarterback, actually, not just quarterback, but system thing. So does Lamar Jackson put it all together this season, and do they expand that offense? That's been the talk of the whole offseason, is that's what they're doing. Now, this year, Rashad Bateman, I kind of have him pegged as last year's Justin Jefferson, a guy you can get in the late, first round, either in regular dynasty and superflex. Some in superflex, you can get him in the early second round, and he's just a guy that he's got that Justin Jefferson vibe from last season, that rookie that shows out. He's got all the skills. He really does, and I'm kind of blown away that he fell as far as he did in the draft, but I know the Ravens are loving it, and they've been just gushing over this guy in the offseason. Baltimore has been loving this kid in the offseason. You can go, you can look and see what's been written, what's been said, if you dig into the Baltimore media, they love him, and he's showed out here in early mini camps and rookie camp. And I just think he's going to be a guy who is special this year. I think he's going to be the guy that has this large, huge return on investment. Again, either on a trade if you want to a few years down the road, or, as your future, big bad swing and receiver on your team. I think he has that. I think this offense is going to come around this year. I think they're going to change up what they've been doing. It's become too predictable. They've got to be able to get Lamar Jackson throwing on, rollouts, the run, getting him on the move. I think trying to force a guy who is not your, atypical pocket passer to be an atypical pocket passer. It's like they want to run, they do all these special runs and things. I think they can get more creative than they've gotten with the passing game. I think they've not really put in the work. And I think they've done that this offseason. Is they had really created this run heavy, multi-directional, misdirection offense that they had going. And I think they're going to add to it this year. I think they started it a couple seasons ago. That you could see there's a little, towards the end of the season last year, a little more pass in it. And, having Bateman, they really haven't had, let's just be honest, they haven't had the receiver. Hollywood Brown, great talent, but not a number one receiver. They need a number one guy. And even this year, Sammy Watkins, you're going to have that speed. These guys you can move around in motion. But if you have a Rashad Bateman that can be your number one, you're down the sideline, over the middle type number one receiver who can make the plays, and I think he's going to become that, and that's what's going to be big for them, is to finally have somebody like that. And Bateman, he's going to ball out. You just watch this. This kid he's going to be good, and don't count him out when it comes to your dynasty league. Even if you reach a little, if you get to the 10 spot in your draft and you're like, Devontae's gone, and the top three running backs, and you're looking at Mac Jones and one of these other receivers of the Moors. Even if you had the 10 pick and those guys, you've lost out on all those guys, I would put Bateman in there. 10, 11, 12. A lot of the simulations I've been doing on dynasty drafts, Superflex especially, Bateman's fallen into the second round. He goes anywhere from 12 to 2-3, and that blows my mind because I think that's such a steal. This guy is going to be special. Don't be afraid to pull the trigger on him from anywhere. If you're solid at running back, and you have maybe a Javonte Williams, or definitely over Michael Carter and all these guys. But if you have like a decision and you're super strong at running back and you're like at 10, you're at 110 pick, and you got Javonte sitting there, make it a tough decision because I think he's going to be really good down the road. But if you're strong at running back and you got young running backs, if you're strong at running back and they're older, I would probably just go Javonte. But if you've got the chance to grab Bateman in this area, it's going to be a great win for you. I promise. He's going to be good. So you can look at his college highlights. You can see what he puts together on the field. And he's just an all-around good receiver. He's gonna be able to run the routes. He's gonna be able to get open. He's gonna make the tough catches. And this is what I saw in Justin Jefferson last year coming into the draft. And he's a guy, if you've listened to me before, I drafted in one of my super flexes in the 12 spot. And I was blown away excited. So I think Bateman's that guy for this year that's going to go between, 10-1 or 110 and, 2-2 that somebody's going to get a steal with. And he's going to be that guy. So of those top three, like I say, I would go, obviously, return on investment is Bateman, where you're getting him in a draft. Uh, to me, Devontae has the chance to be the most special out of all three as far as big play ability. Um, and Waddle's going to have that too. But Waddle, does Waddle become the Deshaun Jackson where it's 1 week big numbers and then 2 weeks nothing, and then 1 week giant numbers and then 1 week average numbers? Waddle might bring you that at least for the first 2 seasons at least. Devontae can become a very consistent receiver with his route running. Like I say, Waddle might end up being more of a big play guy. Bateman's going to be your guy that becomes a number one, wide receiver. They're saying Devontae has that in Philadelphia. He has that opportunity, which he does right now, and they're giving him that. But we'll see. We'll see where that goes. But I think that Bateman, if you want a number one big time receiver, I think you get that out of him. Devontae, you get a chance to have something that's special as a playmaker. Waddle, he's gonna be either the big playmaker, and maybe he shocks me and he becomes the all-around playmaker. But I think he has kind of a Deshaun Jackson vibe written on him for dynasty fantasy, where he's going to be kind of an up and down player, and that's just the way I see it. But I think that's where we're going to end up at with these three receivers. So, moving on to that, and let's get into a little bit of redraft talk here. So, if you're in a redraft league, for those who are inexperienced, a redraft league being a league that you draft every year. You redraft the players, and pool goes back. You draft, 15 rounds or whatever it is, and from the entire pool of the NFL. So, in a redraft league, and I've been doing some mock drafts, just to kind of test things out from different spots, different numbers, doing 10-team and 12-team leagues. And, early on, if you're drafting up in the early rounds, or early picks, shouldn't say early rounds, obviously everybody's drafting, but early picks, okay? So let's say you're 1-1 through 1-7. I mean, every time I've drafted, it's just got to be a running back. The running backs go off the board so quick as far as top running backs. I don't see any reason not to pick one there. And a lot of the ones I've done mock drafts with where you have experienced guys drafting and they're expert mock drafts, almost the whole first round is running backs. So I think, and just doing it the way that the mocks that I did, no matter what spot I hit, unless it was 9, 10, 11, 12, where you got that, in a snake draft, it's coming right back to you. I could see really going with, Hill or, one of the top receivers in that spot. Sometimes Kelsey's there. So those three spots I could see if you're in a 10-team league, obviously, 8, 9, 10, getting a receiver / Kelsey. Kelsey's going to go in all of these mock drafts. I'd rather leave Kelsey alone in the first round and get a top receiver, top running back, because in the third round, you have the option of Waller and Kittle. And every mock draft I've done, third round, Waller, Kittle, both there. So I'd rather go running back, receiver, or, I actually love the running backs that are available in the third and fourth round. I really don't like the return on investment in second round for running backs. So I would love, as I say, first round, I really think, until you get to the end of the first round, picking out a running back in a redraft league is important this season. There are some running backs in the third, like I say, the going running back, wide receiver, running back, or running back, wide receiver, tight end has seemed to pay off from no matter what position I draft in. I seem to draft the better team doing it that way: running back, receiver, tight end, running back, receiver, running back. I usually have ended up with the best, no matter what position I drafted from. So, um, thinking about it that way, that's probably your best option. The way you're having average draft positions right now. With the average draft positions, like I say, in the second round with running back, they kind of worry me. And especially if you're drafting early right now and we don't know what Aaron Rodgers is doing, because, you have Jones there in the second for Green Bay at running back. He's one of the top tier second round into first round running backs. He worries me a little bit if it's going to be Jordan Love, because there's going to be a lot of box stacking and making a kid who hasn't seen an NFL field throw the football on you. And since he can run, it's going to be a, let's just say Lamar Jackson stacked boxes. So they're going to stack them against Green Bay. So in a redraft league right now, the Packers players scare me. Obviously, you have Adams there and Jones there at the end of the first round, early second round, mid second round. Those guys worry me if Jordan Love is playing quarterback. And so don't get yourself, reaching at that time. If you're drafted early before camp and we don't know any of these things are going on, what's going on with Aaron Rodgers, I'd stay away. If you're drafting before then, the one guy I would take a chance on that kept falling into the 8th, 9th round was Aaron Rodgers. I would always draft a quarterback anywhere from the worst draft I had is I went with Mahomes in the 4th round. I had done my running back, wide receiver, tight end. I had this in the mock draft that I'm recalling. I had Ezekiel Elliott first round, Diggs in the second, and Waller in the third, and then I went Mahomes in the 4th round just to try it out. Right, I usually don't draft quarterbacks that high. I wait till 6th, 7th round, depending on if there's a little run on the quarterback. I might, end up in the 6th if the guys, you can see people are getting antsy on quarterback. Usually I wait till about 7th, but if I get a quarterback 6th, 7th, even in the mocks I've done, you had Josh Allen sitting there, who was the second quarterback off the board, and so, but what I would do is in the 8th, 9th round, why the hell not? In some of these chances, again, it's a return on investment, right? So to me, it's worth the risk in the 8th round, 9th round. If Rodgers is sitting there just to draft him as my second QB, and have him there on the roster, because camp comes and that comes back to camp and he's going to play and he's got the chip on the shoulder and he's pissed off again this year. Well, now you can either trade. Let's say you drafted Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers. Now you get to trade one of those guys, and guarantee there's going to be somebody in your league. Either a quarterback gets hurt, or they waited too long to get a quarterback. One of those things is going to happen, and you're going to have one of those guys on your bench, and be able to offer him up as a big time trade. So, obviously, in a redraft league, you're not worried about next year's draft picks, but you sure could probably get a good running back, good receiver, good tight end combo going there. You could either have tight end, wide receiver, tight end running back, wide receiver running back. Maybe you get one all three. Who the hell knows? Sometimes people love these players and they're desperate. You throw about Aaron Rodgers and you've already got Allen or one of these guys on your team. You never know what you're going to get for him. So, however, in the mock drafts, like I say, that I've done, I don't find any problem taking that. I struggled, because I do these things, I just press the button and whoever player is there, I think about them as I do them. And I really struggled with each time I came to the second round and I had, Adams sitting there, Jones sitting there, and not knowing the information right now, I'm just not ready to pull the trigger on those guys. Not that they probably won't be good without him, but I don't know if the return on investment in second round is going to be worth it. If Jordan Love plays quarterback, we don't know what he's going to bring to the table. Again, smaller college, smaller Division I college. Did he do good? Yes. He's gotten a little experience, as far as the game goes now, but he's never been on the field, and so that worries me. And he hasn't had a lot of practice reps with Rodgers there over the last few years. So does he come in and ball out? Maybe. But it worries me to draft a Packer in the second round, and there's two of them sitting there that are great talents, but they worry me as far as a redraft league in the second round. But like I say, building running back, wide receiver, even one of the drafts I did, there was a few drafts I did, actually, not just one, but a few of them that I did where I went running back, and I usually ended up, that was when I was in the higher part of the draft, like if I was drafting 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, going running back, and ended up with like McCaffrey and Mixon. There was some good combos in there as far as that, because you get, like I was saying, I'm not high on the first half of having a running back in the second round, but if you're at the end of the second round, so if you draft like first, second, third, and you got a good running back, and then you're going to come right back and get, because even in some of these drafts, DeAndre Hopkins was sitting there in these mocks at the beginning of the third round. So like in one of them, I think that was the one I had where I had McCaffrey, Mixon, and DeAndre Hopkins. That's the greatest combo I ever heard of to start a team with. And now the problem on that one is definitely missed out on my tight end in the third round on that, but that's okay. I'd rather have D-Hop and McCaffrey spitting game together with somebody like Mixon as my number 2 running back. So going into redrafts, as I said, look, running back, wide receiver, tight end, or running back, maybe running back. If you're top of the, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, going running back, receiver. But especially 4 and 5, those are really good where I could get like Waller or Kittle. So 1, 2, 3, especially running back, receiver. And then, but if you get into the mid 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it was definitely running back, possibly receiver, running back, tight end, or running back, receiver, tight end. But you see where I'm going with that. I didn't, and these guys who are going to stretch, there'll be some guys in your league. They can't help themselves. They're going to reach on a quarterback, maybe third round. So there's going to save you some players to get in these mid rounds, third, fourth, fifth, that guys who start reaching on quarterbacks are going to give you a great opportunity to grab. So, this year I think, like I say, early first round, especially to late first round in the 9, 10, 11, 12 spot. Before those, you just have to go running back. I don't see any option. All the mocks that I've done, you've got to go running back. So, moving on to my next topic, we will talk about Aaron Rodgers just a little bit, just to touch on, okay? And I know we were just talking about it a little bit during that, mock draft fantasy redraft talk, but I just want to talk about this. So here's a guy, okay, I don't think he has any chips on the table here. I'm not sure what he's pulling. I know he's upset, and I know he's mad. He's definitely warranted to be mad at what has gone on. The drafting of Jordan Love, the way just things have gone there, yes, I can understand. What I don't understand is I don't think he's put himself in a good spot here because what's he going to do? Sit out the year and then be 38 and then they trade him and Jordan Love just takes over. And if not, and Jordan Love sucks, they're going to be able to have a top pick in the draft next year. So I don't know what cards Aaron Rodgers playing here. He has a chance to, I think, squash all this stuff. Get over his ego a little bit. It is a business and a profession. I know Green Bay did him way wrong, but I don't think he's putting himself in a good spot here. Because as he come back, he's gonna be 38, and yes, he's special, and yes, he can go to another team and play a few years. But what's that team gonna look like? You know, he's put himself in a kind of a conundrum here, if you ask me, where he's let the Packers themselves kind of have the, all the chips to themselves here, and he's just having to survive on the blinds. I don't know if any of you played poker, Texas Hold'em poker. He's just trying to survive. He's having to go all in on every hand because I don't see what he's done to himself here. I don't see where he thinks any of the power is on his side. And then he's going to start losing fan base. It will happen. Look at Brett Favre. Brett Favre was the greatest Packer in the history of mankind for, almost his whole career. And then as soon as he wasn't, he wasn't. And, not all the fans turned on him. And it took some healing between him and Green Bay. And then things turned around there. But I think Rodgers is pushing himself out of a lot of people, having his back because you can only go so far. People go, I understand that you're upset and I understand the way the team did you, but you're the one not showing up. And he has no leverage. There's no leverage. Packers, I promise you this, they will love to get all their Aaron Rodgers is going to have to hand over just, even more than Le'Veon Bell did. I think it saves the Packers $30 million. So I don't think there's, I think they're fine with it. And from what I hear from some Green Bay insiders and that I've listened to and read, they say the Packers are, they're fine with it. Go ahead, walk, Aaron. And we'll trade you next offseason. We'll get a little bit for you. And we'll move on. And we'll find out if Jordan Love is our quarterback this year. And if not, we'll get a good draft pick next year and we'll move on. And you'll save us a boatload of money that we can go spend on other players and, tighten up some spots on this team they can't from paying Aaron Rodgers. So I think that's where the Packers are at. And I think that's what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers. And I hope Aaron, I know it sucks for him and I hope he can pull it together. I just think he's put himself in a tight corner that he's going to have to now swallow a little bit of ego and pride to come out of. That he let ego and pride get himself into. Not that the Packers didn't do him wrong. They did. And I think a lot of us in our life have been there where somebody's done us wrong like that. And it takes something different to handle it. And I hope Aaron puts that together and he, gets his butt on the field and he has another spectacular year, and then let the chips, play out. But I think it's best for him to come play this season, and that's just. And then, so moving on to one final thing I want to talk about, and I won't get into it deep because it is going to get into, some people's craw and some people's this and that, and everybody's got an opinion, and there's Twitter and Facebook and social media, and everybody's going to have their opinion about it. But I just wanted to touch base because I think there's two takes from this, and I want to talk about Carl Nassib coming out, being what they say the first active player to come out as gay. And I know that took a lot for him. It really did. These guys who have done this over their careers after they've retired, or you take a Michael Sam, which is going to be my second take of this, and it takes a lot. I've spent most of my life in a football locker room. Played a lot of golf. You know, been involved with a lot of that, and locker room talk and the words that come out and kind of the homophobic words and the homophobic talk and uh, those type of things are all around in the locker room. So it's a amazing thing to see somebody come out and, excuse my turn of phrase here, but have the balls to do it. And that's great for him. Now my second take on this is it really sucks that the rest of the world kind of forgot about Michael Sam. I mean, he went through it through the draft process. I think he got a little bit blacklisted through the process. I don't think he was given the opportunities and or the coaching after he came out. And I think he took a knock, and he took one literally for the gay community. And I feel like he got a little shunned on this one. Everybody was like, they just kind of pushed him to the side because he never actually ended up playing for a team. He was on practice squad, but then he became the first openly gay, Canadian football player. So as he moved on to the CFL, but anyway, proud of Carl to come out on his own, and I know how hard that must have been of a decision for that guy. Very impressed because it's not easy in this world now. Everything's become way more politicized than it ever has. I think it's a little more accepting, but it's also a little more politicized. So hopefully everything goes well for him. His teammates accept the life that he chose, playing in the NFL and coming out as openly gay. I mean, that's a big decision of him to make, to do that, to come out in his time of playing. So, Carl, good for you. And with that, we have come to the end of our Wednesday episode. And before we part ways, if you enjoyed what we hit off here, just remember to hit the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts and YouTube. And you can visit me at gridirongrub.com. And also don't forget to follow me at Gridiron Grubb on Twitter. Have a good evening, everybody.